Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jessi and I am a performer for Disney Cruise Line. I've been a performer with them since 2014, and in my previous video when I was sharing my kind of Disney Cruise Line story, I mentioned that I would share my audition story in a separate video. So that's what this is. Just to start things off, this was in December of 2013. So we're talking years ago. So my audition experience is likely very different from what they're doing now or what yours might have been, even if you auditioned around the same time. But I thought I would still share my audition story, as there might be some useful tips and tricks if you're thinking of auditioning for Disney, even if it's slightly different than my experience. Hopefully I can still provide some insight as to what it's like and what you can expect, and a few tips along the way. So let's dive right into this video. I was 20 years old. My audition was in New York City at Pearl Studios, and I actually showed up on the wrong day. So great start. I went to the vocalist audition, which I do sing as well, but I didn't bring my music. I was intending to go to a totally different audition. So if you're interested in auditioning for anything Disney, whether it be the parks, the ships, international parks, you can check out DisneyAuditions.com, and they have all the up-to-date auditions. They've also recently started an Instagram account, which they've been posting in their stories any upcoming auditions as well. That said, I got my information from DisneyAuditions.com. They definitely posted the correct dates. I just read the wrong one, but it's okay. I didn't miss the audition. It was just the following day. So I left, and I'm actually really glad that I made this mistake for a couple of reasons. Number one, on the first day of my audition, I went in just like capri leggings, just black capri leggings, and then a pink, like a hot pink tank top, but it wasn't like a nice workout tank top. It was just kind of like a cheapy tank top. My hair was just kind of up, you know, I didn't put in that much effort to really look good, and I think I only brought my tennis shoes. The whole look just wasn't my best work.
The tales of your incompetence do not interest me.
So something told me that for the next day, I just need to dress better. So I actually wore a nice bright pink leotard. I had a little skirt. I had my tights. I did my hair half up, half down, and kind of curled it. I had in like a pink bow that matched my leotard, and I just had a more professional look. So all in all, I was really thankful I made this silly mistake, because I definitely looked more the part on the actual day of the audition. Now to the actual audition day. I believe there were probably about 130 people in the room. There might have been more, and I believe that they pulled us into the room in groups of maybe 35 to 50. This is where the details are a little fuzzy for me. All I know is that there were a lot of people, and I got there pretty early, so I was higher up on the list. It was definitely a busy turnout, so like most Disney auditions, people will show up early, and I definitely recommend that. So we did our audition combo to Let It Go, the Demi Lovato version. Mind you, at that time, Frozen like the first Frozen had just come out in the theater, so this was like really exciting. It hadn't been overdone at all yet, and I probably still remember little bits of the combination. It was like a drag and a drag, a chaîné turn, a bop mob. I think we did a double pirouette, so it was dance heavy. And I wore my jazz shoes for this day, so I was really glad that I had jazz shoes as well. Now, if you're not a dancer, this doesn't automatically mean that you're not going to get the job. There are a bunch of different categories. This was kind of just to see who had more dance background than others. Like most auditions, you'll learn the routine fairly quickly, so if that's something that is difficult for you, I would just recommend maybe taking some online dance classes or more dance classes in person, where you have to learn combinations and work on picking up different dance combinations at a faster speed. After learning the combination, they split the room in half, and each half, I believe, did it once or twice. They pulled us into smaller groups, so we did it in I think maybe groups of 8 or so everyone had a chance to be seen, and then they made cuts. So the first round of cuts was after the dance round, and if you were asked to stay, you were going to move on to the improv animation acting round. I was really excited because I was asked to stay in the room. There were maybe 35 of us around this time, and we were given different scenarios and asked to act them out. So there were some very simple ones like, oh, act out like you're having a day at the beach, and so you could be putting on sunscreen, or you could be setting up your umbrella. So it was very much a physical acting. They asked us to act it out as if we had invisible props, and I thought that that was a lot of fun. We had a few challenges, like I think we had like to be a zombie. There were a couple really silly ones, and I don't know, I feel like I went for it, and then afterwards I was like, ooh, I hope I didn't like go for it too much, like, you know, go overboard. But by some miracle, I didn't get cut then either. They did make a few more cuts at this point, and I think there were about 20 of us left, and this is when we were asked to do the Let It Go dance again. This time though, we were filmed. Right after we finished dancing, we were asked to stand in a line, and they came and panned the cameras down and asked you for your name. This is something that if you're not used to speaking into a camera, just be yourself, be confident. Try not to sound too robotic. I think that that's something in slating your name, it can sound very military-esque, I guess. So just be yourself, you know, introduce yourself, your first and last name, just as you would if you're meeting a new friend. That way it sounds a lot more personable and not so mechanical and robotic. After we slated our names, they took pictures of us head on and then profile as well. But at this point, I was definitely a little sweaty and my hair had totally fallen out of its curls. Actually, I think I have a picture, which I will insert here if I do, of after the audition and making it through. So anyway, after they've taken your photos, they then did the yellow paper. So this was kind of like a really big deal. They gave out these yellow forms, and it basically was asking for your availability. So when you'd be able to start. They asked if you had a valid passport. They were asking about tattoos and piercings. And lastly, they also just asked for our heights. I think that they also measured us for like specific heights, so I couldn't weasel my way a little bit taller like I would normally try to do. And that was the end of the audition. I remember walking out of the room and feeling very confident, very happy and satisfied with everything, but also really nervous because I'd never made it that far in an audition before. Mind you, again, I was only 20 years old. I'd just been to a few auditions leading up to this point for different companies, different projects, and most of the time I was cut. So this was a very exciting day. I had very high hopes for it all, and less than a week later I received an email. So this email was asking for my interest and availability for a contract that would start in March of 2014, so just a few months after the audition. If you've seen my DCL story, you'll know this waiting game that I was talking about. It didn't turn out that I would be getting the contract starting in March, and it wasn't until April that I actually got my official offer for a contract starting later in July of that year. So what I didn't realize at the time is that your audition is valid for 6 months. So I auditioned in December, and it wasn't until April that I got the job for a job starting in July. So it really was like 7 months post audition. So if you make it through to the end and something like this happens, just keep that in mind. I've had friends who have auditioned for like the parks, and then a few years later will just get asked to come to Cruise Line, like random crazy stories, so you just never really know. So that was my audition story. Before I wrap up this video, I thought I would just share a couple of audition tips. Number one, as I kind of mentioned before, wear clothes that you feel really good in. These should be form-fitting clothes because they need to see your body movement, so probably not like an oversized tee and sweatpants, but maybe a nice leotard or a form-fitted top and some leggings. Just keep in mind that they want to see your silhouette and your form and your technique if you are trained, so I definitely would recommend more form-fitted clothing. I would also say wear a pop of color. Again, I wore hot pink. I thought this was really fun and it kind of makes you stand out, but if you're more comfortable in all black, it doesn't mean that you won't be noticed, but I just think it's Disney colors, like show your personality and whatever color really looks best on you. Pull your hair up off your face if you have long hair. It doesn't have to be totally pulled back in a pony, but definitely like half up, half down. Make sure it's slicked back. That's something that I wish I would have just taken better care of. I did have some like bangs down and it looked cute at the start of the day, but by the end of the day it was looking a little bit messy. So just a nice convenient hairstyle so that they can see your face and your smile. That leads me to my next point. Smiles go such a long way in an audition. Be yourself, have fun, enjoy the time that you're having. If you do wear makeup, I would say keep it natural. They tend to ask for this as well, but feel free to still do, you know, a little bit of face. I would say like something like what I've done here today would have been a good audition look, and it's probably similar to what I did even all these years ago. Just like a neutral-ish like eye. You can still do your brows, mascara, foundation, but not like a big crazy purple and blue like eyeshadow and like bright red lips, like just a little bit toned down, so that way they can really see your natural features. If you're really nervous, my biggest recommendation is just to treat it like a fun class. Take it as an opportunity to learn something new, potentially even make new friends, and just remember how cool it is that you've had an experience auditioning with Disney. All right. That is all for this video. I hope you found this somewhat helpful, but I would also love to hear if you've auditioned, what your audition story was like. So be sure to put that in the comments below. Were there any similarities, any differences? What song did you dance to? I would love to know. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button, turn on your post notifications so you don't miss the next video. And if you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. All right, that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!